distance, Yosemite appears to be a natural refuge, but for those who inhabit its valleys and cliffs, this place is a wilderness where only the most cunning, the most patient, or the most violent survive. Although it is listed as a national park, the same ancient laws apply here as in any forgotten corner of the planet. Located in the heart of California, Yosemite encompasses more than 3,000 square kilometers of granite formations, dense forests, and cascading waterways. Its variety of habitats allows species that rarely share land to do so and to stalk each other. Black bears roam the hillsides, mountain lions hunt silently, and coyotes stalk in packs. Mule deer cross the meadows, alert to every sound, because here a mistake isn't corrected, it's paid for in blood. Unlike other regions, Yosemite lost its wolves more than a century ago, and opportunistic hunters filled the gap. Winter forces them to descend to lower elevations. Spring reactivates the urgency, and the seasons mark severe cycles. Every day renews an ancient routine: hunt or be hunted. There is no room for compassion or error. Those who prosper do so at the expense of others, because that is the only language spoken in this region. Welcome to Yosemite, a place that doesn't forgive weaknesses. In this environment of constant tension, certain creatures have learned to move with stealth and cunning. One of them is the American black bear, a silent giant in the forest. Its powerful, long and sharp claws can tear through tree bark or open a trunk with ease, perfect tools for both defense and foraging. Its massive, muscular body moves with surprising agility, capable of climbing trees and swimming in rivers with equal skill. But perhaps his most refined and precise weapon is his sense of smell. The black bear has a sense of smell up to 7 times more acute than that of a hunting dog, allowing it to detect food, carrion, or the presence of other animals from several kilometers away, even through natural barriers such as dense forests or waterways. Despite its size and imposing appearance, the reality of its diet is almost paradoxical. Although it may sound incredible, the black bear's diet in Yosemite is dominated by plants, fruits, and berries, which it collects in abundance during the warmer seasons. In spring and summer, it takes advantage of the explosion of plant life: tender shoots, nutritious roots, ripe berries, and wild fruits. This plant base provides most of its energy, vital to sustaining its massive body. However, the bear also incorporates other elements into its diet. During the spawning season, it hunts trout in the clear streams that run through the park, while insects and grubs complete this diverse and adaptable menu. Thus, the bear's life in Yosemite is mostly relatively peaceful. But occasionally, the black bear's true nature is revealed when a threat approaches its cubs. Her violence is neither constant nor capricious. It appears when the survival of her cubs is at stake. Then, the mother bear becomes a relentless guardian, capable of standing up to much larger predators. In those moments, the peaceful creature gives way to a formidable adversary, driven by an ancient instinct that brooks no concessions. In Yosemite, black bears are a common and significant presence. Their population is well established in the park, where they find a favorable environment and diverse resources for their survival. When autumn arrives, bears begin a process that will allow them to face winter, hibernation. Before this period, the bear enters a phase of hyperphagia, consuming up to 20,000 calories a day to accumulate the necessary fat reserves. An adult male can weigh between 120 and 275 kilos at the beginning of hibernation, losing up to 30% of its body weight during this process. During hibernation, their metabolism slows to about a quarter of its normal rate, allowing them to survive without eating, drinking, urinating, or defecating for several months. Their heart rate slows from 50 to 8 beats per minute, and their body temperature drops slightly, remaining around 31 degrees Celsius. Unlike other animals, the black bear doesn't go into deep hibernation. It can awaken if it feels threatened, although it generally remains in a state of drowsiness that allows it to react to external stimuli. With the arrival of spring, the bear emerges from its den, thinner but ready to resume its life in the forest. Its first action is usually to search for food to recover the energy lost during the winter. When the black bear returns to its domain, other predators begin to mark their presence. The balance in Yosemite never stops, and the story of survival continues in every corner of the park. Among them, the coyote stands out as a natural survivor, shaped by the changing conditions of the park and by a cunning that allows it to adapt to almost any environment. Unlike their urban cousins, the mountain coyotes that inhabit this park have thicker fur and a much more robust build, the result of generations of enduring harsh winters and high altitudes. Agile but solid in build, they reach about half a meter in height from the ground to the shoulders, and their body measures between 75 and 85 centimeters in length. These predators weigh between 9 and 11 kilograms, although some specimens can exceed these figures. In the grasslands of Yosemite Valley, especially during the winter, coyotes roam the land in search of food. Their diet is varied, but primarily consists of rodents such as ground squirrels, mice, and gophers. However, their menu may include birds, rabbits, and even carrion when the opportunity arises. Their hunting strategy unfolds in a tense and concentrated silence. The coyote remains motionless, alert to the slightest sounds under the snow. Their ears are raised, seeking to capture the subtle touch of hidden prey. Then, slowly but decisively, he prepares. His body tenses, his legs position themselves, and in a single precise, measured movement, he leaps onto the spot where he detected the movement. Surprise and speed are key to catching their prey, almost always hidden under the white blanket. To achieve this hunting precision, the coyote relies on vision adapted to its environment, which focuses primarily on distinguishing shades of blue and yellow. Colors like red and green are indistinguishable to them, appearing as variations of gray or brown. This adaptation isn't a limitation, but rather an evolutionary advantage that facilitates the detection of movements and contrasts in low-light conditions, essential for their twilight and nocturnal activity. With tireless cunning, coyotes have established themselves as a constant presence in Yosemite. Their ability to adapt to different environments, from dense forests to open plains, allows them to occupy spaces where other predators cannot. In addition to being opportunistic hunters, they play an essential role in keeping small rodent populations in check, a silent task that maintains the delicate balance of the ecosystem. During the harshest winter months, when snow covers the valleys and prey is scarce, the coyote displays its cunning to the fullest. In these circumstances, it doesn't hesitate to tail a gray fox, a direct competitor for the same resources. Both move cautiously, aware that in such a demanding environment, any opportunity can mean the difference between hunger and survival. Taking advantage of its greater size and strength, the coyote waits for the opportune moment. It measures every move, and when the distance is just right, it attacks. It captures the fox and secures a food source in times of trouble. This behavior highlights its ability to adapt and survive, even if it means turning a competitor into prey. The Yosemite coyote is, in essence, a reflection of the resilience and adaptability of wildlife in this iconic park. Its presence, however discreet, is essential to maintaining the delicate balance of nature in this region. However, the surrounding thicket doesn't always offer respite. In these same corners, snakes share territories, hunting grounds, and hiding places. Yosemite is home to a variety of species, from the elusive striped snake to the mighty Pacific rattlesnake. Each one occupies its own niche, adapting to the mountain climate and the prey that abounds in the different sectors of the park. Stealthy and patient, these snakes move cautiously, silently waiting for small rodents or unsuspecting birds. Their bite, in the case of the rattlesnake, is lethal in a matter of minutes, while other species resort to constriction or prolonged stalking. Each, with its own methods, maintains its place in the delicate balance of the forest. During mating season, the scene becomes something unusual. Dozens of males chase a single female, their bodies intertwined in a constant gliding motion over the leaf litter. The competition is silent but relentless. Without making a sound, the males confront each other, pressuring their rivals and trying to maintain contact with the female as long as possible. This dance of scales can last for hours, while the dry branches cover the scene without intervening in the fight. The image is almost unreal, a living mass of scales and muscles moving forward as a single organism. There is no emotional bond, only the instinctive urge to perpetuate the species. Finally, after a constant battle, one of the males manages to gain the upper hand. Using his cunning and resilience, he maintains the contact necessary to complete the mating, thus securing his place in the next generation that will inhabit Yosemite. Beyond these complex interactions, the reptilian brain guides every movement with relentless precision. In these animals, existence is reduced to a simple sequence: hunt, kill, feed, and when the season calls for it, reproduce. Nothing more. It's this lack of distraction that makes them dangerous. In any ecosystem where they reside, their presence is an invisible threat, a danger that lurks beneath rocks, branches, or stagnant pools of water. Among nature's chemical weapons, few match the venom of the Pacific rattlesnake, Yosemite's primary venomous species. Although its lethal power is less than that of other venomous snakes in other regions of the world, its venom contains hemotoxins that destroy tissue, cause internal bleeding, and paralyze prey within minutes. This ability makes it an effective predator, adapted to the park's diverse ecosystems. Millions of years ago, these reptiles had vestigial limbs, bony vestiges that are now reduced or completely absent. Evolution smoothed out these structures to give them a crucial advantage: absolute stealth. Lacking legs, snakes adopt a gait that allows them to slide through cracks, under dry leaves, or over hanging branches, using the rhythmic contraction of their muscles and ventral scales to propel themselves silently. It is this same resource that allows them to climb, swim, and move forward in a straight line or zigzag with equal efficiency. Its eyes, without movable eyelids, remain open perpetually. Covered by a translucent layer that protects the ocular surface, they allow the snake to watch without blinking, adapting to changes in light in the thicket. Some specimens perceive temperature variations in their environment, detecting the heat emitted by living bodies, even in total darkness. Furthermore, their forked tongue captures chemical particles suspended in the air, sending them to the vomeronasal organ, a specialized internal structure that allows them to read the environment, identify scents, and locate prey or rivals. Every so often, as its body grows or regenerates, the snake sheds its skin. Reptiles carry out this process because, unlike mammals, their external dermis does not renew itself gradually. Instead of removing dead cells little by little, they shed their entire covering in one piece. This change is repeated several times a year and allows for the elimination of parasites, the renewal of damaged layers, and the maintenance of a smooth and functional texture in the hostile environment in which they live. This constant renewal is essential for the snake to maintain its agility and endurance during the long periods of immobility that its life demands. It's that same patience that defines much of its existence. A snake can remain motionless for hours, its muscles tense, its tongue catching particles suspended in the air until an opportunity arises. The attack is immediate and effective. A rapid burst of venom paralyzes the prey before it can even react, ensuring a sure capture in an instant. In their world, living is reducing existence to that wait and that moment. There's no other reason to justify their permanence under the shade of the trees. This minimalist approach to their daily lives is also reflected in their hunting strategy. Their method varies depending on the prey. When faced with an unsuspecting rodent, the job is quick. One bite, the venom takes effect, and all they have to do is wait for the victim to give in. But when faced with larger prey, such as wild rabbits, the snake has the ability to swallow them whole. Thanks to its articulated jaw, whose bones are not fused together, it can expand its mouth to encompass bodies much larger than its diameter. The prey is swallowed slowly, and the powerful neck muscles guide it toward the stomach. This mechanism prevents the animal from having to tear its prey apart and allows it to digest bones, fur, and organs, leaving little significant residue. This strategy is complemented by its unique reproductive mode. While some snakes lay eggs in makeshift nests under logs or between rocks, the Pacific rattlesnake gives birth to fully formed young, ready to fend for themselves from the very first moment. This approach eliminates the vulnerability of exposed eggs in an environment where predators like raccoons often prey on them. This way, the hatchlings emerge ready to hunt small prey and defend themselves purely by instinct. In its constant search for food, the snake explores different territories and resources. Thus, on the banks of Yosemite's waterways, it glides through the low vegetation, guided by its chemical sense of smell, which detects the trail of a very different prey, freshly laid eggs in a mallard duck's nest. For the female, these eggs represent a quick source of protein, easy to consume and without the risk of direct confrontation. But the mother's defense is fierce. She has invested weeks of pent-up energy in incubating those eggs, and her instinct is to stand in the way, standing erect, vocalizing harsh sounds and spreading her wings in an attempt to intimidate the snake. The moment drags on, other ducks approach, creating a buildup of nervous birds that increases the risk to the snake. These reptiles, although patient, value their safety and energy conservation. Every false move, every unnecessary confrontation represents a loss in their life balance. The snake then decides to retreat, slithering stealthily into the undergrowth in search of another, less costly opportunity. In this environment, even the predator must know when to give in. But survival doesn't depend solely on what is seen or heard. In this vast environment, much of the wildlife is guided by invisible cues, scents that permeate the air and convey vital messages. In its landscapes, there is something rarely perceived in tourist postcards, but which governs much of nature. Smell, invisible, persistent, and often decisive. Scents are chemical signals that mark territory, announce danger, attract a mate, or guide toward prey. The forest, day or night, is loaded with messages in the form of particles suspended in the air or impregnated in the earth, bark, and rocks. Here, smell is not an accessory sense, but an essential tool for survival. One animal that has turned smell into a literal weapon is the Yosemite skunk, a small nocturnal carnivore with black and white fur and a distinctive stripe that isn't adorning it. It warns. When threatened, the skunk resorts to a strategy that rarely fails. It raises its tail, arches its back, and sprays an oily liquid with a pungent, lingering odor that can reach up to 4 meters. The chemical component of this secretion is so potent that it repels predators and remains impregnated for days in vegetation or on the skin of those affected. Often it is the smell, not the sight, that betrays its proximity. But in their world, scent isn't just a defensive resource. Skunks communicate with each other through their body scent. Males, during mating season, roam their territory, leaving scent trails that females recognize and follow. In turn, mothers mark the perimeter of their burrows with small amounts of their secretion to warn other carnivores to stay away. It is a silent, efficient, and deadly honest communication. But beyond the skunk, on the same paths covered in plant debris and among fallen logs, another nocturnal predator also reads and writes messages with its sense of smell, the Yosemite gray fox. With discreet habits and an excellent climber capable of escaping coyotes by climbing trees, this fox maintains an intricate olfactory communication system. It uses scent glands at the base of its tail and between its legs, leaving marks on stones, bushes, and exposed roots. This is how it establishes its territory, recognizes its peers, and detects if any prey has passed by. Unlike other canids, the grey fox pays special attention to the state of these scents. A fresh scent indicates proximity and opportunity. An aged scent indicates risk or failure. This chemical reading of the environment allows him to make decisions without unnecessarily exposing himself. While hunting, he follows the scent of rodents, rabbits, or birds until he locates them with a precision that sight or hearing cannot always provide. In Yosemite, where larger predators lurk and competition for food is constant, that olfactory ability represents a tangible advantage. Both the skunk and the grey fox coexist in an ecosystem where scent determines hierarchies, encounters, and escapes. That's why, every night, an invisible dialogue unfolds on Yosemite's trails, one that belongs not to those who walk by day, but to those who have learned to read the darkness and the messages floating in the air. And not all forms of communication require sound or image. In nature, scent remains even after the body has passed away. Aromas tell stories, warn, and promise. In this natural park, every predator, scavenger, and prey leaves its olfactory signature in the forest, and those who know how to interpret it survive. Scent, in this mountainous landscape of pines, firs, and redwoods, is not a detail. It is a language in itself, one that needs no translation because it speaks of hunger, fear, and belonging at every step. Around him, the grey fox perceives a world full of invisible messages. Every breeze, every slight movement in the bushes is a signal. In this ecosystem, prey is not scarce, but catching it requires calculation and patience. Some, like the small golden-mantled squirrels, may present a temporary challenge, but the fox knows the rules of this game. It knows that cunning, more than speed, guarantees food. The squirrel descends to the ground in search of fallen seeds. It's a brief risk, but necessary for its survival and that of its young. The fox hasn't made a move yet. He decides to wait. He senses that if it doesn't perceive any disturbance around it, the squirrel will move a few steps further away from the tree. A small error, but enough. When the fox sees an opportunity, it emerges from its hiding place. The squirrel instantly senses the threat and runs for cover. But it's not her the fox is following, but the exact spot she will inevitably head toward, that one tree to which she can't return now. The fox moves forward, blocks the passage and access. The squirrel, caught between running and instinct, stops for just a second. Fear paralyzes it. For the fox, it is not a victory, but part of the routine. Thus, between the trees and the leaf-covered ground, the forest continues its course, as if nothing had happened, because death in Yosemite is something that can vanish in a matter of seconds. This natural park, despite its appearance as a controlled territory, remains a setting governed by the oldest laws. Here, survival doesn't depend on strength or speed. It depends on the ability to read that tiny instant in which everything is defined. Intelligence, patterns, memory, hierarchy, all these traits converge in a single collective organism, the beehive. Despite their small size, these creatures belong to an evolutionary line that dates back more than 100 million years, an ancient vestige of biological complexity. Inside the hive, communication between bees is as precise as it is sophisticated. They use chemical, tactile, and visual signals to convey vital information. The best known of all is the waggle dance, a specific movement that indicates to its companions the distance and exact direction of food sources, such as vast fields of flowers. These dances can pinpoint locations several kilometers away, providing a true coordinate in the vast territory they explore. The internal organization of the hive is marked by a rigorous hierarchy, the most crucial point of which is the queen. The selection of a new queen is a complex process and fundamental to the survival of the swarm. When the current queen dies, the workers select several young larvae and feed them a special substance called royal jelly. This exclusive diet transforms these larvae into queen candidates. As they grow, the future queens compete, and only one will survive, establishing dominance and control over the colony. Once consecrated, the new queen emits a distinctive pheromone that permeates the hive. For a few seconds, activity stops. It's a minimal pause, imperceptible from the outside, but decisive for those living inside. The workers instantly recognize the new signal, and the swarm reorganizes its structure. The routine resumes immediately, now guided by the chemical message that guarantees the swarm's cohesion and stability. Outside, while the hive resumes its rhythm under the command of the new queen, the workers continue with the other vital task for their species, collecting nectar and pollen. This activity, which never completely stops, sustains not only the life of the swarm, but also that of the environment they inhabit. In just one day, a beehive can pollinate hundreds of thousands of flowers, ensuring the reproduction of numerous plant species and sustaining the local food chain. This constant work is the invisible engine that maintains the balance of the ecosystem. Home protection is equally formidable. When threatened by intruders, especially wasps attempting to invade or plunder the hive, an attacked bee releases pheromones that act as an alarm signal. Soon, dozens of their companions converge to surround the enemy. Without visible weapons or tools, the bees employ a physics-based tactic. They vibrate their muscles to raise their collective body temperature. This living oven generates heat that can reach 45 degrees Celsius, a level that is deadly for the wasp, which succumbs before it can escape. However, this insect's strength isn't limited to its defensive tactics. The bee's flight is another of its prodigies. Despite having a relatively heavy body in proportion to its wings, its muscles and wing structures work in perfect synchrony to allow precise and sustained maneuvers. In theory, its wings would be incapable of propelling such a compact body, but the bee defies those laws, proving that nature finds unexpected ways. Furthermore, their honeycombs are masterpieces of natural engineering. Each hexagonal cell is constructed with perfect precision, optimizing space and materials and ensuring the structural strength that sustains the entire colony. Thus, the bee demonstrates that strength lies not in size, but in organization, collective intelligence, and evolutionary precision, a small universe of life and death that pulsates within Yosemite, imperceptible to the unsuspecting visitor, but essential to the continuity of this vast natural landscape. In the gloom of the forest, as day gives way to night, a discreet creature soars across the sky with unsettling elegance, the spotted bat. This bat, with its protruding ears and dark fur dotted with 3 white spots, looks like a ghostly apparition in the middle of the forest. Its agile and silent flight makes it an effective and almost invisible predator. During the day, it takes refuge in cliff crevices or rocky cavities, places where light barely penetrates and silence is absolute. There, its ears rolled up like scrolls rest against its head. But when night falls, those same ears spread open, irrigated by the blood that inflates them, ready to capture the slightest sounds from the environment. This deployment is not just an anatomical peculiarity, but a crucial adaptation for their survival. The great spotted bat is a solitary and territorial hunter. Its diet consists primarily of moths, although it will also snag other insects when the opportunity arises. To locate its prey in absolute darkness, it uses echolocation. It emits high-frequency sounds and deciphers the echoes that bounce off its surroundings. Unlike most bats, this species produces signals at a lower range, a characteristic that distinguishes it and allows it to adapt effectively to the rugged, enclosed landscapes where it lives. In mid-flight, its silhouette stands out against the starry sky, performing quick and precise maneuvers to catch its prey in mid-air. Its ability to make sharp turns and dizzying descents makes it a formidable predator in its ecological niche. The species continuity follows a slow pace. Females typically give birth to a single offspring per year, generally during the summer months. Newborns are blind and hairless, completely dependent on their mothers for the first few weeks of life. Over time, they develop the characteristic white markings and large ears that distinguish the species. Although they lead solitary lives, some bat species have been recorded to exhibit surprising cooperative behavior. When an individual fails to feed, others may share small amounts of blood or food, ensuring their survival. However, this solidarity has its rules. Bats are able to accurately remember who has offered help and who has received it without returning it. Those who break this tacit pact are isolated and sometimes condemned to die of hunger. A silent lesson in the darkness where memory and reciprocity decide fate. The spotted bat is a rare species in Yosemite, and its presence is indicative of a healthy ecosystem. Thus, in the shadows of the park, the spotted bat continues its silent flight, a discrete expression of the complexity and beauty that inhabits the nocturnal life in this natural sanctuary. While some creatures roam the sky, others lurk in the shadows on the ground. Deep in Yosemite, where the light barely touches the forest floor and the silence thickens, lives a rarely seen predator, the mountain lion. Also known as the puma, this feline is a master of stealth and solitude. Its agile and powerful body can reach up to 2 meters in length and weigh between 60 and 100 kilograms. Its uniform beige fur allows it to blend in with the park's vegetation and rock formations, turning it into an invisible shadow indistinguishable from its prey. Despite its size and strength, the mountain lion prefers to avoid direct contact with other wildlife in the park. Its activity is mainly nocturnal and crepuscular, which, combined with its elusive nature, makes its appearance rare. The mountain lion's diet in Yosemite is primarily based on mule deer, which are its favorite prey. However, it will take advantage of other opportunities when they arise. Rodents, birds, and occasionally even coyotes are part of its diet. Its hunting technique is ambush. It sneaks up on its prey, almost invisible in the shadows of the forest, and when it is close enough, it launches a precise and lethal leap. Their keen eyes, adapted to low light, maintain absolute concentration, evaluating every movement of their prey in the darkness. Its claws dig firmly into the ground and the animal's body, securing a grip with a force capable of immobilizing it instantly. Its sharp teeth, especially the canines, pierce the neck with a swift and accurate bite, designed to sever the airway and end the hunt without delay. In that instant, nature displays its relentless precision. The prey falls and the cycle of life continues, sustained by the mountain lion's skill and silence. But their task does not end with the hunt. During the hours before dawn and shortly after sunset, this feline patrols its territory, following established routes through ravines, areas of dense vegetation, and the edges of clearings. Each movement is guided by a careful reading of smells and sounds, detecting recent traces of prey or competitors. Its hearing, capable of capturing frequencies imperceptible to other mammals, and a keen sense of smell for a feline of its size, allow it to anticipate the presence of a deer before even seeing it. This precise patrol method, combined with a wide expanse of territory that keeps individual densities low, ensures that the mountain lion moves discreetly and efficiently. As it travels through untraveled areas of the park, between elevations and deep canyons, it exploits every clue to plan its hunt. During one of his night patrols, the mountain lion advances with measured steps, barely disturbing the silence of the forest. His senses are alert. Every sound, every scent speaks to him of the environment around him. Suddenly, a faint cracking of dry branches breaks the stillness. He stops unhurriedly, orienting his body toward the source of the noise. The faint scent of a young deer floats in the air, a sign he can't ignore. Without making the slightest noise, he begins to advance again, this time with the precision of a hunter who knows that success depends on patience. He uses thick vegetation as natural cover, sliding his body between bushes and fallen logs without rushing. The prey remains unconscious, confident in the safety of the dead-end clearing where it stops to feed. The puma remains motionless at a distance, its sharp eyes fixed on the deer's every movement, evaluating the exact moment to attack. Time seems to slow down. In that instant, his whole body tenses, ready for the leap. With a sudden, powerful movement, he closes the gap in seconds. The blow is accurate and swift. The prey has no chance. This secretive and strategic behavior makes the mountain lion an essential regulator of herbivore populations, preventing overexploitation of young forest and maintaining Yosemite's natural balance. As darkness begins to close the trails and shadows lengthen between the trunks of fir and redwood trees, one of Yosemite's most effective and discreet hunters appears. In absolute silence, gliding between the branches, the gray owl claims its dominance. Unlike other nocturnal predators, this hunter does not rely on its eyesight to locate its prey, although its fixed frontal eyes possess an intensity that is difficult to describe. What really makes the great gray owl such an expert at night hunting is its sophisticated hearing. The disc-shaped face acts as a natural antenna, directing sounds toward its ear canals, allowing it to detect the slightest rustle under leaf litter or the slightest scrape of a rodent's moving branch. This facial structure, combined with an asymmetrical auditory system, gives it the ability to locate prey even when it cannot see it. Its mottled plumage, composed of grays, ochres, and ashen tones, makes it an extension of the landscape. Among the dead trunks and branches, it's almost impossible to spot. It's not just a matter of aesthetics, it's a vital tool. In a forest where survival depends on stealth, being invisible is a real advantage. This owl hunts at dusk, when sounds are amplified and movements become more predictable. Its eyes, immobile within their sockets, allow it precise frontal vision, but it must turn its head completely to expand its field of vision. In return, it compensates for this limitation with an auditory perception that no other forest hunter possesses. On a cold night, under the dim light, a small rodent moves cautiously among the carpet of dry leaves. Every movement is measured, alert to any sign of danger. Their whiskers brush the ground, searching for scattered seeds that may be their only source of food on this cold day. Several meters away, high up in a fir tree, a gray owl remains motionless, stalking it for several minutes, its eyes fixed on the small body moving below. The silence is absolute. broken only by the soft crunch of leaves under the rodent's paws. The owl doesn't need to see to hunt. Its hearing, finely tuned like an instrument, picks up even the slightest movement. Then, when the mouse makes a slight movement, the tension unfolds in a barely perceptible instant, and without a sound to announce its presence, the owl swoops down with lethal precision. The prey fails to understand what is happening, unable to see the attack that is already upon it. The Yosemite great grey owl is not the fastest nor the largest, but it knows how to dominate its environment from high above and from the shadows. Its ability to hear what other animals cannot perceive and to blend in with tree bark allows it to occupy a privileged place in the park's nocturnal hierarchy. Here, in the silence between the trees, the air carries messages that few can decipher, and the owl is one of those who listens. While the great grey owl reigns supreme in the skies, on the ground, competition is still fierce, and some people have to work twice as hard. The American badger is one of them. Despite its size, this animal can defend itself even against larger predators. Although it may look like a rodent, it isn't. It belongs to the mustelid family and has sharp, robust teeth designed to tear flesh and break shells. Its long, curved claws allow it to dig quickly in search of underground prey and also to make its way into other people's burrows. Able to access underground burrows, pursue prey under fallen logs, or ambush in low vegetation, this behavior allows it to exploit niches that others avoid, reducing competition and securing food in limited territories. Its role in Yosemite is that of an intermediate predator, vital for controlling rodent and reptile populations. Without this constant pressure, smaller species could reproduce without limits, causing an imbalance that would affect everything from vegetation to larger predators. Excessive rodents would deplete seeds and roots, while certain reptiles, uncontrolled, would displace other smaller animals and alter the delicate nutritional balance that sustains smaller ecosystems. Thus, among the roots and hidden clearings of the forest, this small carnivore sustains unseen, part of the natural order that keeps the park's structure alive. While the American badger burrows underground, removing roots and loose soil in search of hidden prey, above ground the forest remains calm but not motionless. Among the low vegetation and paths hidden by ferns, another creature avoids the dangers of the night with a different strategy. The mountain quail is one of the most elusive birds in this environment. Although it can fly, it rarely uses it. It prefers to travel on foot with quick and measured movements, taking advantage of natural cover to stay out of sight. Their flights are brief and explosive, reserved only for escaping immediate danger. This preference for moving close to the ground gives them particular advantages. They can explore areas of dense vegetation and rocky terrain where other birds don't venture and evade predators through unpredictable routes and sudden changes of direction. Unlike other flying species in Yosemite, such as the blue jay or the dipper, which are clumsy on the ground, the mountain quail excels at being adept on the ground. Its compact body and strong legs allow it to maneuver precisely among bushes and rocks, making the most of the mountainous terrain. A distinctive feature of this bird is the erect feather on its head, known as the topknot. More prominent in males, it serves as an ornament during courtship and as a warning signal to other birds. During territorial encounters, males ruffle this feather and adopt rigid postures, displaying their size and determination. Thus, on many occasions, this display is enough to avoid direct confrontation. During mating season, males emit a deep, resonant call, a keilu that echoes across the canyons and hillsides. This song, along with visual displays, seeks to attract females and establish territory. Once the pair is formed, the female builds a hidden nest on the ground, where she lays between 9 and 10 eggs. Unlike most terrestrial birds, both parents actively participate in incubation and chick care, demonstrating a strong family bond. This cooperation, unusual among species with similar habits, increases the chances of survival in an environment where danger lurks at every turn. The mountain quail's diet is varied. It feeds primarily on seeds, leaves, and fruits, supplementing its diet with insects, especially during chick rearing. They are social birds that form family groups, known as coveys, composed of up to 20 individuals. These groups provide them with protection and facilitate their search for food. During the day, they move together across the terrain, and at nightfall, they seek refuge in the dense vegetation to rest. A unique characteristic of the mountain quail is its ability to adapt to altitudinal variations. During the summer, they ascend to higher elevations in search of food and cooler temperatures, while in winter they descend to lower, sheltered areas. This altitudinal migration allows them to take advantage of the resources available at different times of the year. While the mountain quail discreetly roams the park's ground, avoiding conflict and taking refuge in the vegetation, higher up another bird asserts its dominance with force, violence, and opportunism. In the skies above Yosemite, the bald eagle maintains its position as one of the most efficient aerial predators. Its bright yellow beak is curved and massive. This shape allows it to tear flesh accurately and quickly, making it easier to feed on freshly caught prey or carrion. Although its reputation places it as an active hunter, much of its diet is obtained by stealing prey from other birds or taking advantage of dead animals. The bald eagle's high-pitched, raspy cry is often heard during territorial disputes or during mating season. These calls are not ornamental, but rather clear warnings directed at other birds or intruders, delimiting their territory or reaffirming their bond with their partner. They are solitary by nature, except in areas with abundant food where small groups may congregate. They are often seen in pairs, as they tend to form monogamous couples that remain together for years, defending their nest and hunting in nearby areas. It's not the most highly evolved bird of prey, but it is one of the best adapted to environments like Yosemite. Its abilities are fully displayed in the air. On the ground, its legs are clumsy and inefficient for movement, but in flight it reaches remarkable speeds and can glide for long periods, taking advantage of thermal currents. It can travel great distances in the air, remaining in flight for hours without stopping. It is capable of hunting in mid-flight, both on land and over bodies of water, capturing fish on the surface with precision. It preys on other birds, such as seagulls, ducks, and juvenile falcons, although most of its prey are fish and small mammals such as mice, shrews, and squirrels. Although natural predators are scarce for an adult, bald eagles can be threatened by coyotes when they come to the ground to feed, or by large owls at night, especially if they are juvenile or sick. They may also find themselves in trouble when attacked by groups of crows or hawks defending their nests. In such situations, the bald eagle often retreats, taking advantage of its ability to quickly gain altitude and escape. Thus, in the balance of Yosemite, even in the air, there are risks that cannot be ignored. But unlike the bald eagle, not all birds that fly over Yosemite do so under violence or persecution. This cooperation, unusual among species with similar habits, increases the chances of survival in an environment where danger lurks at every turn. The mountain quail's diet is varied. It feeds primarily on seeds, leaves, and fruits, supplementing its diet with insects, especially during chick rearing. They are social birds that form family groups, known as coveys, composed of up to 20 individuals. These groups provide them with protection and facilitate their search for food. During the day, they move together across the terrain, and at nightfall, they seek refuge in the dense vegetation to rest. A unique characteristic of the mountain quail is its ability to adapt to altitudinal variations. During the summer, they ascend to higher elevations in search of food and cooler temperatures, while in winter they descend to lower, sheltered areas. This altitudinal migration allows them to take advantage of the resources available at different times of the year. While the mountain quail discreetly roams the park's ground, avoiding conflict and taking refuge in the vegetation, higher up another bird asserts its dominance with force, violence, and opportunism. In the skies above Yosemite, the bald eagle maintains its position as one of the most efficient aerial predators. Its bright yellow beak is curved and massive. This shape allows it to tear flesh accurately and quickly, making it easier to feed on freshly caught prey or carrion. Although its reputation places it as an active hunter, much of its diet is obtained by stealing prey from other birds or taking advantage of dead animals. The bald eagle's high-pitched, raspy cry is often heard during territorial disputes or during mating season. These calls are not ornamental, but rather clear warnings directed at other birds or intruders, delimiting their territory or reaffirming their bond with their partner. They are solitary by nature, except in areas with abundant food where small groups may congregate. They are often seen in pairs, as they tend to form monogamous couples that remain together for years, defending their nest and hunting in nearby areas. It's not the most highly evolved bird of prey, but it is one of the best adapted to environments like Yosemite. Its abilities are fully displayed in the air. On the ground, its legs are clumsy and inefficient for movement, but in flight it reaches remarkable speeds and can glide for long periods, taking advantage of thermal currents. It can travel great distances in the air, remaining in flight for hours without stopping. It is capable of hunting in mid-flight, both on land and over bodies of water, capturing fish on the surface with precision. It preys on other birds, such as seagulls, ducks, and juvenile falcons, although most of its prey are fish and small mammals such as mice, shrews, and squirrels. Although natural predators are scarce for an adult, bald eagles can be threatened by coyotes when they come to the ground to feed, or by large owls at night, especially if they are juvenile or sick. They may also find themselves in trouble when attacked by groups of crows or hawks defending their nests. In such situations, the bald eagle often retreats, taking advantage of its ability to quickly gain altitude and escape. Thus, in the balance of Yosemite, even in the air, there are risks that cannot be ignored. But unlike the bald eagle, not all birds that fly over Yosemite do so under violence or persecution. Its vocal repertoire is one of the most extensive among birds in its environment, emitting sounds ranging from high-pitched whistles to short clicks and grunts. These sounds aren't limited to alerts or territorial calls. They use them to coordinate in groups, communicate with their young, attract mates during mating season, and express recognition between individuals. In this last function, they have been documented to be able to remember and distinguish the voices of their peers. Socially, the black-billed magpie organizes into large flocks. They are highly sociable and maintain hierarchical relationships established through greeting rituals, mutual grooming, and small displays of dominance. This sociability is not a random trait. It has evolved as an adaptive response in complex environments where cooperation improves defense capabilities and access to resources. Although it belongs to the corvid family, its presence should not be confused with the common ravens of Yosemite. While both share intelligence and opportunistic habits, the magpie is distinguished by its well-defined black and white plumage, a lighter body, and a much bolder demeanor. Crows tend to be wary and avoid direct contact with humans at all costs, while magpies approach without hesitation, browsing objects and making prolonged eye contact. This combination of cunning and audacity is reflected in behavior common in the outlying areas of Yosemite. There, where houses begin to blend into the forest, these birds have adopted the habit of harassing domestic cats. They approach cautiously, pecking at their tails or waving them in front of them to provoke a chase, from which they then escape without difficulty. This scene is repeated regularly. This behavior is not merely playful. During these chases, the magpie's body releases endorphins and catecholamines, generating a rush of adrenaline that, as in other species, helps strengthen its reflexes and ability to react in real-life situations of danger. Evolutionarily, these types of practices have served to hone their escape times and flight prowess, crucial qualities in an environment where predators lurk both on land and in the air. In this way, the black-billed magpie not only survives in Yosemite, but has turned curiosity and intelligence into its greatest asset, moving between trees, houses, and campsites with the same ease with which it avoids cats, foxes, and birds of prey. A bird that does not need to impose itself by force when it can do so through ingenuity. Like this bird, another park resident relies on cunning rather than strength to face daily challenges. Far from the alleys and garbage dumps that made it famous in urban areas, the Yosemite raccoon maintains an existence far from the image often attributed to it. Here, this animal retains its original status as a methodical opportunist, one that relies on cunning and a surprisingly accurate memory to locate food in an environment that offers no second chances. Unlike its urban relatives, whose diet relies heavily on human waste, in these forests, the raccoon becomes an effective predator and a skilled plunderer. Their diet is varied, ranging from insects, fruits, and small vertebrates to carrion when available. They also play an involuntary ecological role as a seed disperser because after consuming wild fruits, they contribute to forest regeneration by scattering them as they move. Although it may sound counterintuitive, they also use strong scents as a guide to locate prey remains or abandoned nests, signs that in their world indicate opportunity rather than repulsion. But one of their most coveted resources are the eggs of birds that nest close to the ground or in low areas. He waits for the females to temporarily leave the nest to hunt or drink, and then, taking advantage of his stealth and manual dexterity, he accesses the eggs. Its exceptionally sensitive and precise front legs allow it to handle eggs without breaking them immediately, arrange them, and carry them one by one to covered areas before eating them. This remarkably developed sense of touch is further intensified when it puts its paws in the water, a skill it uses in Yosemite's numerous streams and courses to detect small prey or food hidden among the rocks. This physical prowess is accompanied by a distinctive coat that serves functions beyond the aesthetic. The dark stripes that run along its tail blur its silhouette when it moves through low vegetation or crosses open, shadowy areas, blurring its outline. The dark mask on his face, far from being a simple distinctive feature, reduces the reflection of moonlight and minimizes glare, facilitating his sophisticated night vision. Although their curious appearance and attitude may be misleading, these animals are not tame. Their temperament is unpredictable, and they can react with notable aggression if they feel threatened or cornered. They have teeth capable of tearing through tough tissue and sharp claws that they use both for climbing and defense. Furthermore, they compete indirectly with other species such as gray foxes and coyotes for specific resources, which limits their movements and forces them to fine-tune their adaptive capacity. To find shelter or raise its young, the Yosemite raccoon uses abandoned burrows, holes in trees, or crevices in rock formations, taking advantage of pre-existing resources in the landscape. In this habitat, the raccoon is not a clumsy opportunist, but a versatile specialist that has managed to preserve and perfect the skills of its wild ancestors. In this natural park, far from city lights, every night is an opportunity to prove that in its original environment the true animal remains intact. Nighttime in Yosemite offers opportunities for different types of predators, and not all of them are as large or famous as the raccoon. While diurnal scavengers rest and large hunters patrol in the shadows, other, more discreet inhabitants unfold among the damp leaf litter. In those same soils where the raccoon searches for eggs or small vertebrates, a tiny but surprising animal maintains its own silent routine. The mountain newt is a rare species to observe, and its presence is made memorable by that very rarity. This small amphibian belongs to a group that has maintained the same survival strategies for tens of millions of years, based on stealth, prolonged immobility, and unusual territoriality. Its discreet appearance is just one of its adaptations. Its body coloration perfectly mimics the ground covered in leaves, damp wood, and lichens. Amidst the shadows, leaves, and roots, it becomes almost impossible to spot with the naked eye. This passive camouflage allows it to avoid predators and ambush small invertebrates, which it feeds on without exposing itself too much. Unlike the passive image often attributed to amphibians, the mountain newt defends its small territory with remarkable aggressiveness. It doesn't tolerate the proximity of others of its species, and in the event of an invasion, it doesn't hesitate to attack. These discreet confrontations without display or pursuit are an essential part of its territorial dynamic. Another unique feature is that it breathes entirely through its skin. It doesn't have functional lungs or gills like other amphibians, making it an organism extremely dependent on ambient humidity and temperature. Each pore of its skin acts as a gas exchange pathway, forcing it to remain in humid and shady areas, away from drying out. Their reproductive cycle also deviates from the conventional. Unlike most amphibians, which lay their eggs in water, this species lays its eggs in humid environments, hidden under logs, rocks, or among roots. The juveniles develop there without going through the aquatic larval stage. This unusual behavior reduces exposure to aquatic predators and allows the young to grow in stable, sheltered conditions. As an additional defensive resource, the sawtooth newt's skin secretes a mild toxin, harmless to large vertebrates but sufficient to repel small predators and prevent insects or arthropods from daring to feed on it. It's a subtle adaptation that doesn't make them invulnerable, but it does increase their chances of survival in an environment where every opportunity counts. In this ecosystem where discretion and inconspicuousness mark the difference between life and death, not all inhabitants opt for absolute secrecy. A few meters from where the mountain newt remains motionless under a bed of damp leaves, another animal adopts an opposite strategy, more visible but no less cunning. It is the mule deer, the most numerous herbivore in Yosemite and one of the great silent protagonists of the park. This deer with disproportionate ears is much more than a postcard background animal. Their enormous auricles act as natural radars capable of independently orienting themselves to capture the slightest rustle or the flapping of a startled bird. Before seeing or smelling a predator, your ears alert you to any abnormality in the terrain. Unlike other migratory species that travel long distances, mule deer display a local pattern. They ascend to higher altitudes during the summer, where vegetation is more abundant and tender, and descend to the valleys when the cold begins to cover the peaks with snow. This vertical displacement guarantees food throughout the year, thus avoiding excessive competition between specimens. It is not a mass migration, but rather a gradual adaptation that follows variations in climate and resource availability. Despite their size and serene appearance, they are not easy prey. They can't compete with a puma in endurance or a coyote in speed, but their true advantage lies in their ability to make sudden changes of direction and their long, precise leaps, which can clear natural obstacles and cut off their predators' attack lines. Their main threats include pumas, lynxes, and coyotes, although juveniles may occasionally fall into the clutches of golden eagles. The social behavior of mule deer also adapts to the rhythm of the seasons. During the winter, they gather in larger flocks, a strategy that improves their chances of survival during the harsher months. During the summer, however, they disperse in small groups or move about alone, reducing direct competition for the greenest and most accessible grasslands. Every fall, this balance is temporarily disrupted with the arrival of the rut. Males, driven by high testosterone levels, engage in struggles and chases that can result in serious injuries. The clash of antlers resonates in the clearings and scrub areas, while the females remain alert for the most vigorous suitors. A distinctive feature of these animals is the white spot on their back, which is displayed as an unequivocal visual signal. When a deer senses danger and flees, it raises its tail and exposes this mark, a warning to other members of the group who, upon seeing it, understand that it is time to escape. In addition to visual signals, males use scent as a form of territorial demarcation. During the fall, they rub against trees and shrubs to imbue their scent through glands located on their foreheads and at the base of their antlers. These marks remain active for weeks, indicating the presence of a dominant individual and limiting the entry of potential rivals. The abundance of mule deer in Yosemite, with an estimated population of around 2,500, is due to a combination of these adaptations: their social flexibility, their ability to move seasonally, and a varied diet that includes tender shoots, twigs, acorns, and wild fruits. This balance between mobility, prudence, and opportunity has allowed it to establish itself as the park's predominant herbivore. But beyond the meadows, open forests, and valleys where deer thrive, the landscape changes. In the most rugged and desolate stretches of Yosemite, where the slopes drop into impossible gradients and the wind has carved the rock for millennia, one of the park's most unique inhabitants survives: the bighorn sheep. This robust and agile creature has made cliffs and vertical walls its natural refuge, thus avoiding the predators that dominate the lowlands. Its compact, muscular body is designed for endurance. It has thick fur that protects it from the extreme temperatures found at high altitudes and specialized hooves that allow it to stand on tiny overhangs. Its cloven hooves with rough, grippy pads adapt perfectly to the rocky terrain, providing traction and stability on the most unstable terrain. There, where for any other animal there is only abyss, the bighorn sheep finds secret paths and invisible footholds. But its most impressive feature is, without a doubt, its horns. Males have heavy, curved tails, capable of reaching considerable lengths. They don't use them for hunting or defending themselves from other species, but rather to compete among themselves for the right to reproduce. During mating season, the confrontations are raw displays of strength and persistence. The males rush at each other with controlled violence, clashing their horns in a roar that resonates throughout the ravines. The echo of these collisions becomes part of the park's soundscape during those days. Unlike other species that prefer dense forests or covered valleys, bighorn sheep prefer open, rocky areas where their vision can anticipate any suspicious movement. Its eyes, located on the sides of its head, give it a lateral field of vision that covers virtually its entire surroundings, allowing it to monitor potential threats without having to move its head. This ability is crucial not only for evading predators like the mountain lion, but also for calculating the exact distances between boulders when moving. This animal's routine is determined by its search for food and water. They consume dried grasses, tender shoots, and, when the season permits, small, tall flowers. They are diurnal creatures and take advantage of the first and last hours of the day to feed, while during the hottest hours they retreat to the shadows of the rocks. The bighorn sheep is, in short, a mountain specialist, a survivor of places that seem denied to life. Their presence maintains a silent balance in the peaks of Yosemite, where few mammals manage to thrive. Sometimes in the early hours of the day, when the light still filters timidly between the slopes and the rocks hold back the chill of the night, a silent crossing occurs. Bighorn sheep descend in small groups toward the springs that persist in the lower areas, while from the nearby bushes the small profile of a bobcat appears cautiously. There is no chase, no confrontation. Both species drink from the same stream without recognizing each other as enemies. The sheep, massive and distrustful, keeps its eyes raised, while the bobcat, more concerned with hiding than stalking, seeks the nearby shadow of a fallen rock. This tense and silent coexistence, where each animal knows its place and its risks, is part of the delicate natural fabric of Yosemite. The bobcat is one of the park's most discreet hunters. Smaller than a puma and more elusive than a coyote, its silhouette moves through the undergrowth with almost invisible grace. Its compact, muscular body allows it to climb, jump and slide among rocks with a natural ease that rarely leaves a trace. Its coat, mottled in earthy and greyish tones, blends in with the shadows of bushes and dry branches. It prefers forest margins, gaps between trees and ravines bordering streams. There it travels on solitary journeys, establishing territories that it patrols frequently, though without rigidity. It hunts primarily at night, although it does not neglect daytime opportunities. Its usual prey are hares, ground squirrels, and low-lying birds, which it stalks from foliage or rocks. Its strategy consists of a patient approach, a quick and accurate leap, and an immediate retreat to the nearest shelter. Its senses, finely tuned for hunting in low light, make it an effective predator. Its eyes, adapted to detect even the slightest movement in low-light conditions, and its hearing, capable of detecting the crack of a dead branch several meters away, are its main weapons. A bobcat rarely needs to resort to prolonged pursuit. His method is to wait, surprise, and disappear. In Yosemite, their numbers are not abundant, but their presence is constant. They move around inconspicuously, leaving only a faint trail in the damp earth or a fallen feather as a witness. For many visitors, its existence is more likely to be sensed by the sensation of being watched than by directly seeing its figure. It is one of those silent inhabitants that the forest keeps to itself. In the late afternoon, when the light begins to dim between the trunks and the air turns cold, a scrub hare ventures out of its shelter, attracted by the fresh shoots growing next to a rock. Nothing in the environment seems altered, except for a shadow that has remained motionless among the dry grass for minutes. It's the bobcat. The whiskers tremble slightly, measuring the distance. One false move and it's all gone. When the hare stops to sniff, the cat stealthily takes 2 steps forward, and in an instant, without warning or sound, it pounces. A short, precise, and sufficient jump. The hare's body barely manages to turn before being caught between the paws. Without celebrating or prolonging the act, the bobcat takes its prey and disappears into the bushes, leaving behind the faint rustle of the leaves as they rearrange themselves. In this landscape of rock, forest, and water, each species, visible or inconspicuous, plays a specific role. From the herds of mule deer crossing the meadows at dawn, to the magpies prowling campsites in search of food, to the secretive raccoons, the motionless newts, and the bighorn sheep braving the vertical slopes, Yosemite maintains the ancient dynamics of the great outdoors intact. A territory where the seasons impose their rhythm and where each animal, from the most agile to the most patient, adapts or gives up its place. More than a refuge, this park is a living stage of permanence and transformation, where life unfolds without intermediaries, sustained by the same laws that have governed these lands since long before any other witnesses.